We will call the Public Safety and Transportation Committee meeting for December to order. Be looking for an approval of today's agenda. Moved by Duckham. Supported by Walls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Also make note, Commissioner Williams messaged us. He'll be here. He's just gonna be a little late. It gets us to our first opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment? Public comment guidelines are each individual will state their name and have 3 minutes to address the board. You may only address the board once under this public comment and may not yield your time to others. Board members will not debate or answer any questions at this time. Hello, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Timothy Sparks. I'm a pilot out at the Jackson County Airport, also a hangar owner, also a member of the Airport Advisory Committee. And item H on your agenda has to do with the construction of a pad mount transformer out at the airport. The east side of the airport's had a lot of development over the last couple of years. Retention ponds have been put in. Basically has made the ground shovel ready for new hangar construction. I was one of two of the last hangars to be built out there. Mine was completed at the end of 2019. Since then, we've kind of learned that the electric infrastructure out at the airport is not sufficient on the east side really to have new hangar construction. Oh, sorry about that. And what is needed is we need to get a primary source of power closer to the new area where the hangars would be constructed, and that requires a new transformer to be set out in that part of the airport. And in order to do that, it's about a $30,000 cost to bring a new pad mount transformer out to the east side of the airport. And Consumers Energy requires reimbursement for that, from the upfront costs. They have a rule that over the next 5 years, you can get reimbursed if other people connect to that transformer. So over the course of 5 years, you could get about a $3,300 payment back for each new hangar that's constructed out there. But for a hangar owner to build a new hangar, that's a substantial cost, upfront cost that someone has to pay for. And over the past, the transformers that are out there have all been paid for by the county, and then the hangar owner pays to get effectively cables or wires run from the transformer to their hangar. That's what we're kind of asking for in the county, to upfront fund this transformer. If it doesn't get reimbursed by the county or by individuals as they build hangars over the 5 years, the county could assess some sort of fee on future hangar builders as they connect up, so that the county could get fully reimbursed. And I know that the airport manager has put in for some grants from the state of Michigan that will be acted upon come January of this next year to see if we can get that reimbursed. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So my name is Andrew Schneider, and I'm really the reason this transformer item came up, because I elected or thought about building a hangar back in 2019, actually just after Tim built his hangar. And there was a lot of cost involved to it. And one of the big costs involved to it was just the earthwork that had to be done to make the site buildable. Well, with the expansion of the soil or the retention ponds, that earthwork has come a lot closer to being manageable to build. So I just elected to build, took approximately a year to get permitted and so forth. And I started building a hangar. I chose my location not realizing that power was going to be a problem. I'm literally 100 foot further than what Consumers can run me power. So now I've invested several $100,000 into a project that's actually making the airport a better place, because I like things that look nice, and I'm not building a shack like some of those places out there are, not to put down the owners of them, and it meets code and so forth. So unfortunately, we found out that I can't get power. So now I have a building that's basically useless. Can't open my hangar door. I can't finish the project. We've been working over generators. It's just incredible. It's incredible that this stumbling block is, in the way of advancing what's already been done. The county spent a lot of money improving that airport and making it buildable. And there is a waiting list for people not to build, but for hangars. So there is a demand for hangars out there. And nobody's gonna build if they think they have to spend $30,000 alone just to get basic electric. I mean, I have to pay beyond that, which is fine. That's what everybody should be expected to pay. But to have to pay for the primary to be out there to improve the county's property and stuff is a burden on one person. I just feel that's unreasonable. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any public comment? Last opportunity for public comment. Seeing none, public comment's now closed. Takes us to item 4A. I'd be looking for a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham. Supported by Walls. Any discussion? If none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to item B, appointments. We have several this month. Trying to find here we go. The first is for the airport board. It's a public member. The current member is Tom Davis. We have two applicants. Mr. Davis has reapplied, and an applicant named James Buck has applied. I believe both of their resumes were included for your review. Is
I'd
there,
like to nominate Tom Davis.
okay. Is there any other nominations? Does that need support, Mike? No. All right. Seeing no other recommendations, all in favor of recommending Tom Davis, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, Mr. Davis will be this committee's recommendation. The next is the Jackson County Planning Commission. We have 2 seats available. The first is a public member's seat. The current member is Jennifer Bittinger. Mrs. Bittinger did not reapply. We have 2 applicants, Rush Jennings and a Nicole Contrell. I would put forth a recommendation for Rush Jennings. Are there any other recommendations? Seeing none, all in favor of recommending Rush Jennings, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, Rush Jennings will be the committee's recommendation. The next is on the same commission, the environmental representative. The current member is Mary Wilcott. Mary has reapplied along with Nancy Shirkey and Alyssa Willis. Being the commissioner on the planning commission, I would like to see Mrs. Walcott on the board again, so that would be my recommendation. Are there any others? Seeing none, all in favor of recommending Mary Walcott, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mary Walcott will be the committee's recommendation. Takes us to Region 2 Planning Commission, public member. There are 2 public member seats. The first is currently vacant. We have 1 applicant, that is Rush Jennings. Is there any other recommendations? Seeing none, all in favor of Rush Jennings being the committee recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Jennings will be the committee's recommendation. The second seat is again public. It is Rick Seigers. Mr. Seigers has reapplied. Are there any other recommendations? Seeing none, all in favor of Rick Seigers, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Mr. Seigers will be the committee's recommendation. The next is there's 2 spots for a commissioner that we have not been able to get a commissioner to do. The first is the Emergency Management Advisory Council. Current member is Commissioner Snell. He had scheduling conflicts. I have applied for that position to fill it. Is there anyone else interested? You're more than welcome to it.
Can we find somebody better?
Yeah, Mr. Duckham, are you volunteering?
No.
Okay. Seeing none, all in favor of Corey Kennedy being the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, I will be the recommendation. The next is Emergency Management Advisory Council, same issue, Commissioner Williams he had scheduling conflicts. I have applied. Is there any other recommendations? Seeing none, all in favor of Commissioner Kennedy being the recommendation, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Are they both Emergency Management Advisory Council?
Yeah, well, they are.
Okay.
One's
One's LEPC.
LEPC, the other
Okay, just wanna
CMAC.
make sure it's
Yep,
correct.
you got it. Takes us to item 4C, Emergency Management Quarterly Report. I believe Corey's here.
Morning, Mr. Chair. Morning, Commissioners. Next slide, please. So for the last quarter here, did have several different activities and incidents that I want to speak about. Starting with on September 28th, unfortunately, there was a fatal traffic crash that occurred on Michigan Avenue. May have saw this in the news. This involved UAW Local 475 staff from Eaton Aerospace that were picketing along Michigan Avenue and unfortunately were struck. This did result in 1 fatality and 4 others being injured. On October 13th, we did receive some swatting calls. So for those that don't know what swatting is, basically someone places false calls to 911 in an effort to try to get law enforcement and public safety officials to respond to an incident that is not real and cause quite a stir. These calls started on October 13th and continued for a little over a week, impacting at least 5 school districts in our county as well as 1 physician office. I just want to say that the sheriff's office did an absolutely outstanding job investigating these incidents, and their work ultimately led to the arrest of a 15-year-old teen from Florida that was linked to multiple swatting incidents in several states. And all of the responses to every call, even though they were false, were handled very appropriately, were taken seriously. The schools were searched to make sure that there were not any hazards within those schools based on the threats that were received. On October 23rd, did receive notification a contractor doing some work hit a water main outside of our jail that supplies all the water to the jail. Did reach out to the sheriff to see if he needed any assistance. And thankfully, he had no needs. They had an emergency plan in place, which allowed them to put an emergency connection to the building and put that into place successfully. And they were able to use that until the water main could be replaced. On November 4th through the 6th, we did activate our Emergency Operations Center due to the potential for issues to arise related to the November 5th presidential election. This was a really good opportunity for our EOC to kind of test our functionality, and thankfully the election went very smoothly. We had very few issues that were reported statewide. Locally, we did have 1 incident that was escalated up to our state partners that was regarding a bomb threat at a polling location that was quickly determined by law enforcement to be non-credible. The opportunities that were identified are being worked on currently to address those for any future Emergency Operations Center activations. Lastly, on November 6th, some may have seen some of the news regarding this, as well as a press conference that was put out by Jackson Police Department, Sheriff's Office, Michigan State Police, and Lenawee Sheriff on November 26th. This was regarding an incident that occurred on November 6th. Pursuit of a suspect wanted from Lenawee County resulted in a pursuit, and then ultimately Jackson Police Sergeant did receive a wound in that pursuit. And there was also explosives being reported from the vehicle during the pursuit that were being detonated. I just want to say this was a very, very serious incident, likely one of the most aggressive attacks on law enforcement that this county's probably seen. And thanks to the courage and bravery of our responding officers, this very dangerous incident was mitigated quickly, and without a doubt, their bravery prevented further injuries and damage to the public. So a great coordinated effort by multiple agencies across multiple counties, including state resources as well. I believe the investigation on that is ongoing into that incident. Next slide, please. Just a quick update. We were able to successfully integrate social media into our Genesis mass notification platform as an output channel. This required a lot of collaboration between my office, our county IT department, Facebook, and ultimately our vendor Genesis to accomplish this. I'd like to recognize Janet Bartholomew for her efforts regarding this. She put a lot of time into this and ultimately made sure that that was successful. Next item, just a quick update regarding our hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant. Jackson County received notification we will receive $1,560 for that grant for fiscal year 23-24. That leads me into the next item as online tier 2 manager. So using some of that hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant money, we're looking to implement and have started contracting with the company for online tier 2 management. It's a software platform that's currently being used by the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy at the state to collect chemical inventories. What this will allow us to do is basically tap into that information that's already being submitted by businesses as required under the requirements. And have that information available to us locally and make the management of that much more seamless for the businesses as well as for different response agencies within the county as well as my office. Cost for that's $750 annually, and we will use the hazardous materials emergency preparedness grant monies for that. Next item I have on the agenda, United Way of South Central Michigan is continuing to work on a community resilience program manager position that they're looking to fund and staff here in Jackson County. That will be primarily used to help coordinate nonprofit organizations' response to disasters in Jackson County. So great partnership with United Way, looking forward to that coming to fruition in the future. And really thank the United Way for wanting to bring that here to our local community. Last item is an update on a regional planner position. This is a grant-funded position that is through the Homeland Security Grant, federally, passed down to the state and then through our region. We've been allotted up to $50,000 for that per year annually to fund that position to do work in terms of emergency preparedness planning within our region, Region 1. So it's a partnership with Region 1, and we currently have conducted interviews and hope to be offering a candidate that position here soon. Next slide. That brings us to the Homeland Security Grant Program. So in addition to the planner funding, we also receive project funding from Homeland Security Grant. As you can see, the allocations for the last few years are listed. For 2022, there's a small remainder amount of around $1,700 for that. And then FY23, we had an allotment of $40,000. We do have one project out of FY23 that is awaiting approval at the state for some EOC video conferencing equipment to help us in that environment, as that was one of the identified opportunities for improvement during our activation for the presidential election. Next slide. Lastly, we just have a few training and exercise things that I'd like to talk about. So back in September, I may have saw some of this publicized on the news as well. A large full-scale active violence incident exercise was conducted at Optimist Ice Arena. That was a 3-day exercise. A lot of first responders from across the county were able to participate in that. A very successful event. A lot of good opportunities for improvement were identified across multiple agencies, and those improvement plans are being implemented currently. So just want to thank Optimist Ice Arena for that, as well as the Jackson Disaster Area Response Team, or JDART, who helped provide food and beverages for the 3 days of exercise and training for all of our first responders. Lastly, just an upcoming exercise that I wanted to note, we will be conducting a tabletop exercise here at the end of January. for a hazmat mass casualty scenario. That will include a scenario that is very similar to the East Palestine disaster that occurred down in Ohio. So we look to prepare our and test our plans here locally to an incident of a similar magnitude. And that is all I have. Next slide, any questions?
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman Kennedy. On your page 2 of your 6 slides, your swatting calls, what do you do with them?
Ultimately, my office is just going to monitor that situation, and we're going to report that on up to our state partners at the Michigan State Police Emergency Management Homeland Security Division, and they'll keep an eye on that, and they will then also engage with state and federal partners and assist with any needs locally with investigating those incidents. And then if they feel that there is a need for broader communication, if there's a risk for these to continue out in other areas of the state, they would communicate out to all of our state partners with that. So it's just more of a situational awareness thing at that point. If the incident continues to cause problems, we could certainly look at activating our Emergency Operations Center and bring in resources to start identifying what's credible, what's not, and have that coordination between local, state, and federal partners. But ultimately, initially, it's just a situational awareness that we would provide to the state.
Okay, that doesn't address my real question. Swatting calls, that term is usually applied to bogus calls, or one individual is wishing to do harm to another individual. Will the SWAT team crashing through your door, the person trying to do the harm to someone else is likely hoping that the other person gets killed by the SWAT team. So these bogus calls are criminal. What do you do to make sure before you send a SWAT team out to some address that it's an actual need and not just a vengeance call?
So my office is going to leave that up to our law enforcement partners to determine.
what?
My office is going to determine, that's law enforcement's role in that. So law enforcement's going to ultimately respond to that. My office would not dictate the response actions of law enforcement partners, nor the investigation or the tactics they use in response. Once we start to determine that, an incident may be a swatting call, we'll certainly pass that information along to our law enforcement partners, but their response actions are going to be dictated by their own protocols and procedures within their organizations.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, committee members? In regards to the swatting, you mentioned it was a teenager down in Florida. Did you get any details? Are they connected to Jackson or in any way, or is it just random?
So I think that the investigation is still going. There are charges, I believe, pending through the state of Florida. The little bit that I was able to gather on it from talking with some of the sheriff's department team that was investigating this is that ultimately it sounds like there was maybe a video gaming connection between a teenager that was in Florida and a teenager here within Jackson County.
Okay, thanks for the explanation. Be looking for a motion to receive the report.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham. Supported by Walls. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, passes unanimously. Thanks very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Takes us to item D, Public Defender MIDC Grant Contract Fiscal Year 2025. I see Mr. Fortino here. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, members. Yes, we're here today to pass on the grant contract, proposed grant contract that we received from MIDC. It incorporates all of the terms and conditions of the cost analysis and plan that this board has already approved and passed on to the board. We're asking this panel to recommend that the general board approve this contract and authorize the chairman of the board to sign the contract on behalf of the county.
Committee members, are there any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman Kennedy. So what this comes, this $571,775 that the county has to come up with, that comes out of our general fund?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not sure how that's.
Thank you.
I just know that that's the local share. It's part of the contract. It's made up, I think, the way it's determined is 3 years prior to 2018, the money that was spent on court-appointed attorneys, it was an average of that. And then that's deposited into a fund, and then the MIDC funds, once the contract is signed, will be deposited into the same fund. What it is you have a base, and we build on that base. MIDC builds on that base to get to the amount necessary to run the office for the year.
It is our minimum contribution.
It is.
Legally, and
Yeah.
it is from general fund.
And it'll never change more than 3% either way.
Okay, if there's no other questions, I'd be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board with a recommendation of approval.
Support.
Moved by Wall, supported by Duckham. Is there any discussion?
I have.
Okay, Commissioner
How's this
Duckham?
going to affect the county's obligation to the prosecutor's office? Are we just driving up costs?
I'll let the administrator address that.
Deb's got a hand up.
No, all right.
This has been ongoing, so this is the 5th or 6th year that we've done this, so it's a regular occurrence. It does not obligate us to any other expenses, but this is the minimum required. And in order for us to get our grant funding from the state, which is approximately
4,200,000 or about that.
4.2 million, then we have to sign this contract if we want that money. But
Okay.
it is not correlated to the prosecutor's office.
I'm sorry, it's $4,426,261.75. Comes from the state.
Is there any other discussion? If not, I'd ask you to post the vote, please.
Cannot post a vote. I can do a roll call. My computer is down.
Roll call work.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Commissioner Walls. Yes. Commissioner Duckham,
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy,
Yes,
passes unanimous.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Fortino. Have a good day.
You do, thank you.
Takes us to item E, animal shelter x-ray machine through donation. And Lydia's here, I believe. Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm asking for the approval to purchase an x-ray machine for our animal shelter clinic for our veterinarian and vet tech for use on our shelter pets. The funds have been donated through a grant from make sure I say it right, the AP Cook Foundation, and the funds have already been donated. We have submitted plans with the state for approval for the space used, and those plans are currently being reviewed.
Committee members, pretty straightforward, but are there any questions? Yes, this is an action item. So we have a motion from Duckham. I'll support. And any discussion? Seeing none, a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Commissioner Duckham,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy,
Yes,
passes unanimous.
thank you. And that takes us to item F, the fourth quarter report for the animal shelter.
Thank you. This quarter, animal control has been very busy. We're currently operating with 2 full-time officers. We've had an unusual number of cruelty and neglect cases this past 3 months. So that has been very busy. The cases have been unusually large number of animals. So that has been very time-consuming, especially for 2 officers that are new. So that has been very busy, but they're doing a good job, doing their best to keep up. Our cat intake continues to stay high as well. Adoptions are steady. We're still doing a good job of just managing our intake the best that we can. Same with the dog intake, remains high, and numbers are steady as usual. They're increasing, still up after year, and month after month, we still are seeing an increase in overall intake of numbers through, whether it's through clinic or just overall intake through the community. Our community engagement is busy as ever. One partner that we're visiting for pet therapy, new to this year, is the Jackson Interfaith Shelter. We've had a really good experience with the members that, the residents at the shelter. They do really enjoy the visits from the shelter and our animals. And we've really enjoyed visiting there as well. In October, we had a free microchip clinic, and that was through the benefit of a private donor who offers a certain dollar amount of microchips that we can distribute for free to the community members. And this October, she also donated an additional amount of funds. She gathered another person to assist and donate additional microchips so that when people come in with stray animals that don't have an ID tag or have any microchip, we can offer that person who has a known dog that obviously gets out, that we can offer them a free microchip as well. So next time they come in, we will know to be able to who they belong to, so we can get them back to their owners sooner. November was a very busy month. We participated in the parade. We really enjoyed doing that and decorating the animal control truck, walking our animal shelter dogs in the parade. One got adopted the next day, so that was always a rewarding moment. We had pet pictures with Santa in our community room. Just a lot of busy times with a lot of corporate volunteers come in the month of November and December. We're always happy to welcome them. And that is it. Short and sweet.
All right.
Any questions?
Committee members, are there any questions? Commissioner Duckham.
I look at your dog statistics, and you took in about 900, adopted out about 450, or euthanized. Where's the other 400 dogs?
Those will be either in foster care, still available for adoption, or our clinic services. I don't have the clinic services included in the intake number, but I can start including that in the numbers so you can see more of a balance where they're at, but they're probably in clinic services. That means they came in for spay, neuter, microchips, rabies vaccine, something of that nature. So they visited the clinic. They didn't live at the shelter for any time, but they still.
I knew you had a reason behind it, because you always do. Good job.
Thank you.
Chairman Shotwell.
My understanding is you've gone into the turtle business this past quarter also. I want to appreciate and let everyone know that animal control worked well with the city and county to deal with a traveling hoarder, I guess would be one of the best ways to describe it. And how many turtles did we actually remove from this in the final location?
It was a variety of species, actually, not just turtles, but it ended up being 124.
So all in one house.
Thank you for the aquarium.
Anytime. Let me know when you need stuff.
Appreciate you.
If there's no other committee member questions, I'd be looking for a motion to receive the report.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham. I'll support. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, passes unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for your work.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Takes us to item G, the airport ground lease renewal hangar 124E. Good morning, Juan. How are you today?
Doing well. Good morning, Commissioner Kennedy, Commissioners. We have a renewal, a lease renewal for Hangar 124 East Side. And this is a standard 20-year lease renewal for this hangar. There's a 2,080 square foot hangar, and last year they paid $115.76 for their ground lease for 2024, and $124.80 for their maintenance lease. That gives it an average of 39 cents per square foot. And the standard right now that we're charging is 41 cents per square foot on this lease.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman. Juan, on your staff report, current situation, the last sentence, the airport manager is recommending that the board renew these 2 leases. Update me on what are the 2, it appears there's 2 separate leases.
That's not correct. That's a one lease request, and that's a typographical error on my part.
Okay.
So this is a request for one lease.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other committee member questions? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to forward this to the full board with a recommendation of approval.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham. Supported by Walls. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, if you could do a roll call vote, please. You post the vote, please. Yeah.
The vote's been posted. Passes unanimous.
Thank you. Just one moment, Juan, is one of the commissioners, do you have the claims? I haven't had a chance to look at them. I don't know. Oh,
I don't look at them during the meeting. I pay attention during the meeting. I will review these on the break. If somebody else wants them now, they can have them.
you can pass them down to the other commissioners, and we'll give it to you at the end of the meeting then. Thank you, sir. Takes us to item H, airport pad mount transformer purchase.
Thank you, Chairman Kennedy. Timing is everything, and right now it's not the best time to be asking for additional funds. I'd like you to visualize the fact that we just spent about $1 million getting the airport ready for additional hangar construction. We have several members, both in our community and as far north as the Mason Jewett Airport, that are looking to build hangars on our airport. And in order to do that, we need to have electric power so that the hangar owners can go ahead and connect electric to their hangar, and if possibly also gas. Now, the word is getting out that there's a possibility of having a gas main also included, keeping in mind that when business owners want to build a hangar at the Jackson County Airport, they would like to have not just electric, but also heat in their hangar for their very expensive airplanes. So that's why I'm coming to you with this request. Going back to 2001 was the last time that the county bought a transformer for the airport, and that was a transformer that is being used to power the electric on the on building 166 and 165. Those are 15 T hangars that are being powered, and unbeknownst to me, there is a distance limit as to how far Consumers Energy is willing to go before they require a new transformer. And this is what just happened. There's an individual building a hangar, and we just found out that they need a new transformer in order for them to have electric power. So in order for us to continue our business operation at the airport, to continue to grow the airport, and to continue to attract new businesses to move into the Jackson area and to the airport, we really need to purchase this transformer, and if possible, to add a 2-inch a gas main for an additional $10,709. So we also looked at our options. One possibility would be to have electric power provided by solar panels. Since this is considered an off-the-grid type of a situation, so for an individual to hook up solar panels to their hangar, and this will only provide electric power to their one hangar, it will cost $17,420 for the electric power to their hangar, and that's unreasonable. Once again, to require private hangar owners that are trying to invest on the airport to purchase their own electric power by installing solar panels. So this needs to be considered as a business expense for the airport, and I'm requesting that as a minimum, we purchase the transformer and pay for the installation so we can continue to provide electric power to the new hangars that are being built. And now, right now, we're looking at over 10 hangars that will be built over the next 5 years. And if possible, to have a two-inch natural gas main installed for an additional $10,709.
Thank you. Commissioner Duckham,
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with this.
your motion is, this is an action item, so is your motion for approval?
Yes.
Okay, is there support? Supported by Walls. Discussion. Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman. One, I've been involved with building design and construction for, well, my entire professional career. The cost of putting in a transformer or bringing power to your building or gas to your building or fiber to your building is a normal cost of designing and building any new building. These costs are typical and are typically paid by the building owner wanting to build a new facility. I don't see why general fund money would go to this when we just cut a huge chunk of general fund out of the sheriff's budget. Yes, it's nice to have new buildings added out there. That adds to our projected, it adds to the county's future growth, but not at the expense of cutting the sheriff's budget. One of the gentlemen that spoke during the public comment time, if I heard him right, he said there are grants available for this, and the grant application could be filed in January. Is that correct? Did I hear him correctly?
That is correct, Commissioner, and I have applied for a grant. The deadline was last Friday, and we won't know until January if we're going to get that grant. It's through the state of Michigan. Going back to one of your statements, the airport needs to be considered, which it is, an economic engine for the county, and it will be wrong to say that it is nice to have new buildings brought to the airport. This is part of our business plan, is to continue to grow the airport so that we can continue to attract new businesses to the county and to the airport. And you're correct in that when individuals want to build a building, part of their expenses is to do the connections for electric and gas and other utilities. And we're planning on the west side of the airport, that is part of our future plans, is to install utilities so that the area will be building ready for individuals to come in and do that. On the east side, it was an oversight in the fact that we did not know that the electric will not be available to the new hangars. Otherwise, it would have been included in the development of the airport. Right now, we find ourselves in a situation where we need to provide the electric capability for the new buildings, and we can't do that right now. And if the word gets out that Jackson County is not willing to provide the easily accessible electric power for new hangar construction, our customers will go to other places. We're competing with other counties, with Hillsdale, Lenawee County, and we will be giving up an advantage that we worked so hard for the last 10 years to make the airport as business-friendly as possible, because we cannot afford to spend $38,000 to continue to grow the airport. And I do feel bad that the sheriff is having financial issues, that the millage did not pass. But all that aside, this is a business decision that is to be taken as a business improvement to the airport.
Okay, I appreciate that you have a long-range plan and that you've been working towards this for years. The county had a long-range plan of providing adequate sheriff's budget and adequate road patrol. But as money changes, plans change. And with a grant possibility in January, and you're asking for general funds in December, I'm sorry, just like the sheriff's plan had to change, I think your plan needs to change or wait or get more grants. I cannot support general fund money going to this after we've defunded our sheriff. Sorry.
And if I could add one more statement to that, Chairman Bear. If we do get the grant from the state, that will go back to reimburse the county for the expense of the transformer. We won't know until January about that. And I am willing to make this, if we need to, it's something that needs to be done now. And we'll deal with it next year, either through the airport's budget, and we'll just have to cut other items from the budget if we have to, or through to the general fund. Thank you.
If I may, this in the long term is going to be cost neutral. You would agree, correct? Because I'm reading here about it's going to come with a 5-year, $3,300 reimbursement to the county for each new hangar that is connected to the Padmont. That's part of the plan, correct?
That statement is correct. Whether it's going to be revenue neutral, I'm not willing to say that's correct. We don't know.
I'm not going to put you on the spot, but
We don't know how many hangars are going to be built over the next 5 years.
the anticipation is there'll be growth.
Correct.
There certainly won't be growth if we don't do this, and we will delay a project that's currently going on. Am I correct in that?
That is correct, Chairman Kennedy.
Thank you. Is there any other committee member questions? If none, I'd ask you to do a roll call vote.
Commissioner Duckham,
Yes.
Commissioner Bear,
No.
Commissioner Walls,
Yes.
Chairman Kennedy.
Yes.
Passes 3-1.
Thank you, Juan. Have a good
Thank
day.
you so much.
Yep. Takes us to item I, Jackson County Department of Transportation, West Street Abandonment, Waterloo Township. And Mr. Briner's here today. Hello, Charlie. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? All right. For the West Street abandonment, we're seeking for the approval resolution for the abandonment for West Street. It's a portion of right-of-way that extends 363 feet from Seymour Road into a farm field. It was never developed roadway and has since been sitting out there. The county abandoned the northern portion of West Street back in 2003 by the adjoining property owners. The south portion of the West Street right-of-way is being seeked out for abandonment by the current property owners for this portion. So the current situation is that the 2 adjoining property owners have signed a petition, as well as 5 other landowners in Waterloo Township. JCDOT has reviewed the petition and verified all the signatures. At this point, we have not used the right-of-way. We have no certified roadway in this right-of-way, and we do not receive any MTF funds for this portion. So we are asking the board for this portion of right-of-way to be abandoned.
Committee members, any questions? We'll go with Commissioner Walls first.
Good morning, Charlie.
Morning.
That's actually in my district. So I do know that they are having a huge dumping problem out there as well on that short little piece. And I would move to abandon the south portion of West Street.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Walls, supported by Duckham. Commissioner Duckham, do you still have a question? You had your hand
No,
up.
I was going to support the resolution.
Okay, Commissioner Bear.
Thank you. To make sure we don't have any disputes between property owners, this is a right-of-way. And so part of that right-of-way is on one owner's property and part is on the other owner's property. So both owners know where their land exists, and we won't have disputes between neighbors of who gets what piece.
I actually believe it's actually the same owners, if I'm correct, Jim. Yep. The same owner owns both sides of the right-of-way. So that there's no disagreement between the 2 parcels on both sides.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? We have a motion on the floor, correct?
Yep.
Go ahead and post the vote.
The vote's been posted. Passes unanimous.
Okay, that will go to the full board with recommendation of approval. The next item is, I don't know how to pronounce, Arshire Lane to public road acceptance.
Yep. So, yep, we're asking for the approval for a resolution to accept Ireshire Lane into the Jackson County Road Network. It's located on County Farm Road, across from Technology Drive. That was part of the County Farm EDA project that was done the last 2 years. As part of that project, JCDOT did work with the contractor Mead Brothers in the construction of that process. So we had a technician out there doing the field inspections. We worked with SME doing all of the soil testings and the paving testing out there as well. The portion of roadway that we're asking to add to the network is 2,389 feet of roadway. We are asking to add it to our network on December 31st, 2024. That way it falls into the next fiscal year for it to be applicable for MTF funds for that portion.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you. Currently, you don't do patching, pothole patching, snow removal on this road. After it's accepted as a public road, you state here that's going to be eligible for Act 51 funding. So when we get the Act 51 funding, will that be adequate to pay for the new obligation of road patching, the new obligation of snow removal?
Yes, and that's when we add it to our network. That's why we ask for it to be set up to our standards. In other situations where we've added other roads into the network, we've requested the owners to improve the roadway to where it can have a substantial life up to 15 to 20 years. So the current situation for Ireshire, since it was reconstructed from the ground up, we foresee it having 15 to 20 years before there's any major maintenance that's going to be needed for that portion.
Thank you.
Be looking for a motion to forward to the full board with recommendation of approval.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham. Supported by Walls. Any discussion? Seeing none, please post the vote.
The vote's been posted. Passes unanimous.
Thank you. Takes us to item K, Jackson County Department of Transportation Roundabout Project Acceptance of Consumers Lighting Contract.
Yes, so for the last 2 years, JCDOT's been working on the 3 roundabouts. We have the one that was constructed just recently at Minard and Springport, and then the 2 the previous year at Rives Junction and Springport, and McCain and Deering Road. During the design process, we worked with consumers on designing the lighting plan for those locations. And during construction, we worked on any easements and adequate lighting for those roundabouts. And since that time, we've worked with consumers on combining a lighting contract to combine all 3 roundabouts together. And in the future, if we add another roundabout, we'll add an addendum to this contract to add more lighting to this contract. Currently, we have 19 poles at the 3 roundabouts, and they're estimated to be about $150 per pole per year for lighting. So we would be looking at a total cost of $2,850 for the lighting, and it would be coming out of the MTF funds for that.
Committee members, are there any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman Kennedy. When these roundabouts are first proposed, we were told they're covered by grants. The grants don't cover these poles and electrical utilities?
They could, but due to the scope of what the lighting portion of the design would be, it was going to require different subcontractors to be on the contract. Plus, all 3 roundabouts, the cost of the roundabouts were more than what we received for grant funds, so we had to use MTF funds to cover the balance of the roundabout. So it's the same thing for the lighting portion of the project as well.
Okay, and just a personal request, in the future, when you come to us with roundabouts, please let us know that the electrical, the poles, the lighting,
Yep.
isn't included in your grant.
Yep.
And what is the funding source for this $2,850 a year?
It'd be part of our MTF funding,
That's part of what?
our MTF funding, the gas tax funding.
Okay. Now, my last question. Around the county, we are cutting down trees that are deemed to be too close to the roadway. Therefore, they are considered a hazard to life and safety when people leave the road and hit these trees. I drive through these Rise Junction, Springport frequently. The poles there are so close that if I stood on the curb, it's a nice roll curb, so it's easy to go over, I could reach my arm out and I could touch the pole. Those poles are that close. If trees have to be cut down because they're too close to the road, then let's start pushing these poles back further. Whatever clearance you're trying to achieve by cutting down trees, achieve that same clearance in these roundabouts. Our roundabouts shouldn't be more hazardous than our regular roadways.
Yep.
And these poles are going to be just as damaging to run into as running into a tree.
Charlie, the poles aren't in the right of way, are they?
Yes, the poles are in the right of way.
Are
They're,
they?
they're wood poles, and
Okay.
they're only buried down to 5 feet, so they are crash-worthy poles. So unlike a tree is usually rooted right into the ground, whereas the poles, they're designed to be crash-worthy by consumers. And that's another reason why we also didn't go with steel strain poles for these lighting, for the roundabouts, not only for the cost, but also we'd have to have those poles even farther away from the roundabout as well. So consumers does stand behind that they are crash-worthy poles.
Yeah,
out
what
there.
kind of pole?
The wood poles are crash-worthy.
Crash-worthy.
Yep. Meaning that they can crash into them and they should break away.
Okay, so the trees are in the right of way, and
Yes.
these poles are both in the right of way.
Yep.
Okay.
And the trees that we've been doing a lot of removals on, those have been on 45, 55 mile an hour roadways, corridors, whereas the roundabouts, we're also dealing with only cars going at 25 or less miles per hour.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other committee comments? If not, I'd be looking for a motion to forward to the full board with recommendation of approval. Commissioner Duckham.
I'd like to recommend it go to the full board for approval, with the exception of Fox cameras not be allowed at the intersection. Just one more thing to hit.
That's your motion? Is there support? That motion dies from a lack of support. Be looking for a motion to forward to the full board with recommendation of approval. Moved by Walls,
Support.
supported by Duckham. Could you please post, is there any discussion? Could you please post the vote?
The vote's been posted.
Okay, takes us to item L. Nope,
Passes unanimous.
thank you. Sorry, I jumped the gun there. All right, yeah. Item L, budget amendment. Good job, Charlie.
Good morning. I am here to go over the routine budget amendment for JDOT for year end. So the budget amendment is truing up the projects and revenues and expenditures for the year. The revenues are increasing by 3.3 million, and expenditures are increasing by 4.1 million. That will leave JDOT with a year-end fund balance of approximately $4 million. Are there any questions?
Committee members, any questions? If not, Commissioner Bear.
Any general fund monies included in this transaction?
No, there's not.
Thank you.
You're looking for a motion to forward to the full board with recommendation of approval.
So moved.
Moved by Duckham, supported by Walls. Any discussion? Seeing none, if you could please post the vote.
It's been posted. Passes unanimous.
Thank you. Takes us to item M, the monthly report. Oh, Charlie's back at it. All right.
All right. For our grant projects, we have the signal modernization project. Contractor's been working on the foundations for all those signals. They have one foundation left at Airport in Wayland, and we're hoping to have that completed this week. And then we are waiting for the strain poles and the mast arms to arrive. And once they arrive, we'll get them installed. So we're hoping in the next month or two that those will be completed. Jumping down to the Mike Levine Trail project, we have the consumer's license agreement, and we've received final clearance from the FHWA on November 12th. And that was a big hangup for the project to go through MDOT letting. So we are currently on schedule for a February 7th letting for the Mike Levine Trail. And we're anticipating that to start construction in the spring of 2025. The McCain and Michigan Ave safety project, we have the contractor that started work out there doing tree removals on November 18th. We're looking at being out there for the next month or two before the work is completed. We also had some guardrail that was going to be replaced on Michigan Ave as well, and that was completed at the end of last week. The curve signage safety project, there's a variety of horizontal curves throughout the county. We are targeting Blackman, Henrietta, Leone, Napoleon, Rives, Sandstone, Tompkins, and Waterloo Township to put chevron signs and advisory curve signs in those locations. Give Them a Break has currently completed the horizontal curve signage at Henrietta Township, and they will be moving on to Tompkins Township next. For the local road projects, the Columbia Charter Township, we have some pictures of the restoration of our crews working out there. The vegetation may not take, so we may have to come back in the spring to finish up some of that work. And we had approximately 5 miles of work that was completed. For maintenance, under the patching, we have our quantities of tons that we have placed for pothole patching. The hot mix asphalt plants actually shut down last week, so we're going to be limited to only cold patching for the winter to accommodate for those potholes. And then I've also attached a copy of our brush mowing map, as well as a copy of our Q alert system that we have been going after for the past month.
Committee members, any questions? Commissioner Bear.
Thank you, Chairman Kennedy. On your McCain Road and Michigan Avenue safety project, the photos there, you're taking down these trees. They are in your right-of-way.
Yep.
So yes, you have the legal right to take them down, but they are on property owned by a taxpayer. So these trees belong to the landowner. They don't belong to JDOT.
That's correct.
When you exercise your authority to clear these things as you see fit, I hope you are offering to the landowner or letting them know, we're taking these trees down. Do you want them?
Yes.
They belong to the landowner. If the landowner wants to cut it up for lumber, if he wants to cut it up for firewood, it's his tree. So my question is, are you informing the landowners that they can keep these trees?
Yes. So our process is that we hang out door hangers to each of the residents that is getting a tree cut down, and we'll have a pink dot located on the tree that's going to be listed for removal. And we also mail them a tree form, and the tree form will ask them if they'd like to retain the wood or if they would like the county to take the wood away. The contractor, if the resident would like to keep the wood, will also work with the property owner to see if they're willing to sell the wood for logs to be taken to a sawmill. And that's between the property owner and the contractor if they decide to agree. Otherwise, the wood stays on site and they can use it for firewood, but the contractor will grind up the brush and take the brush away if they choose not to keep it.
Do you do the same thing if it's the wind blew it down across the
Yes.
tree, across the road, and you gotta get it off the road.
Yep, usually if the wind blows a tree down, usually we get a payload or something and we'll push it to the side of the road and then we'll reach out to the property owner the following day and ask if they want to keep the wood or if they want us to haul it away.
Okay. Is that a relatively new policy?
No, we've had the tree form since I've started and that's been 8 years ago, so I don't know how long it's been in place before that.
Okay, then then your policy is not uniformly applied. I lost some valuable trees in a windstorm. The county contracted to have them taken off the road, and they just packed up my logs and took them with them. Nobody communicated with me. And I actually called the next day and said, "Where'd my logs go? Those are mine." And I said, "I want them back." Well, they brought me back some logs, but they weren't the species of tree
Yep.
that came from my property. So your policy is not uniformly applied, and I would like to see it applied every time. My comment.
Any other commissioner comments? If none, I'd be looking for a motion to receive the report. Moved by Walls, supported by Duckham. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Thank you, Charlie. We appreciate your reports today. Takes us to item 5A. Be looking for a motion to pay the claims. Moved by Duckham, supported by Walls. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes unanimously. Takes us to item 5B, other minutes. There are none. Item 5C, reporting schedule for January. Right now, it's Jackson County Department of Transportation monthly, Region 2 planning semi-annual. And before we take it to public comment, if we go back to the appointments earlier on 4B, Commissioner Williams has made me aware that he is actually interested in those emergency management roles, that I'm more than happy to let him do that. So although we recommended myself today on Tuesday night, I'd like you guys all to know that he's worked out the scheduling conflict. Or we can hash it out there. All right. Takes us to item 6, public comment. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Any public comment? No. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Takes us to item 7, committee member comments. Are there any committee member comments? Seeing none, committee member comments are closed. Meeting is adjourned.